Alright, so we are back, of course, to talk about some Final Fantasy VII Remake, and today I just want to look at two separate translations. Both of them are important in their own ways. One of them gives us a bit of details potentially for Part 2 and beyond, with maybe some events from the original FF7 that might take place also in Remake, that being stuff with the huge materia. And the second one is pretty interesting. So in Chapter 3, you know how you do all the side quests, you get the Discovery, side quest event where you get to go to Tifa's apartment and y'all talk. Well, apparently, Cloud thought he was about to be maybe smashing Tifa or something. Let's talk about it. So we're going to read over the translation in regards to the huge materia first. Yuffie, don't play dumb now. We know you've been cooking up something super powerful. Scarlet was indeed making preparations to carry out refining experiments to create special materia. However, due to the plans of the Sector 7 Platefall, this was postponed. If the Platefall was a success, then experiments would resume once more. Scarlet, well, Wu-Tai must have some highly skilled intelligence operatives. That or we have a mole in our midst. Main story link. The materia experiments that are referenced in this scene are the ones that Scarlet and her team were conducting in the Shinra building in Chapter 16. As the experiment was a failure, they gave up trying to create the ultimate materia through artificial means. However, later on in the story, she will find out that huge materia can be refined in a Mako reactor, among other things. So before we hop into this discussion, obviously I've not played episode intermission myself, and to be honest, I haven't even watched a playthrough of it. I was waiting for Maximilian Dude to upload his entire playthrough of episode intermission, and I think he has at this point. I just haven't got around to watching it yet. But I don't know within the DLC if they ever specifically name huge materia. I don't know if they hint at it, or if they say specifically huge materia anywhere. So for me, this is the first time I'm seeing anything referencing huge materia when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Remake. Anyways, prior to episode intermission coming out, we were hearing that Yuffie and Sonon were going to Midgar to hunt down the ultimate materia or whatever. And one of the theories out there was that it was potentially huge materia. And also that the experiments that we're seeing, Scarlet do in base game Remake within the Shinra building was her trying to create huge materia. And it turns out both of those were true. But the standout thing here, of course, is that the quote from the Materia Ultimania Plus is that later on in the story, Scarlet is going to find out that huge materia can be refined in a reactor, in a Mako reactor, that you don't have to artificially make it, which means that huge materia is going to be a factor in the story. Now, is it going to be the same thing as it was base game Remake, where everybody's trying to collect the huge materia to fire it at the meteor to try to destroy it? That remains to be seen, of course, but more than likely that will be the case. They say all the time that the FF7 story is going to be the same as it was more or less going forward with Part 2 and beyond, but that remains to be seen, of course. There's got to be some differences. And the thing is, huge materia in base game Remake, while we know it's powerful, they don't really show it off too much to be powerful. It can be used for a different means within the Remake story. We might gather the huge materia for something else. Maybe there's a new weapon enemy or something, or maybe we gather the materia to help us fight and take down Sephiroth or something. Who knows? But it seems like huge materia will be a factor in the story for Part 2 and beyond. And now on to maybe the juicier piece of info here. Apparently, my boy Cloud was trying to smash Tifa. Let's read it. So first off, we're going to read Audrey's tweet that says, got a request to continue the Chapter 3 Cloud's past scene from the FF7R Ultimania Plus voice script. In the first part of the scene, Cloud misinterpreted the situation and thought Tifa was going to ask him something else. LOL. Here's translation. Tifa comes next to Cloud and looks at him. Cloud feels nervous. Tifa, so... Tifa smiles at him and asks, after you left the village, Cloud feels let down. I let you off the hook before, back at the hall, but not this time. Cloud realizes he misinterpreted the situation. He sees Tifa anticipating his answer, so he tries to trace back to his memories and starts speaking. So apparently, if you do all the side quests and get the Discovery side quest event, I can't remember what they're called exactly, where Tifa invites you back to her apartment, Cloud is thinking that something's going to happen, whether that's him and Tifa smashing, making out, or whatever the case. He thought something else was going to take place, and she just wants to talk to him again about their childhood or whatever, when he left the village. Now, I don't recall if when I first played this game, that thought even crossed my mind. In hindsight, now that we know that this is taking place, if you watch the scene, you can tell by the way that Cloud's acting that he's thinking that. But I don't recall thinking that. Now, obviously, we did with Jessie, because Jessie's coming on to Cloud, and she's winking at him and telling him to come over and want to make him food and all kinds of shit, and want to give him a little piece of ass. It's super obvious there. I never had that thought, I don't think, when it came to Tifa. Now, if Cloud and Tifa were ever to bang when it comes to Remake, which they're probably not going to, it probably wouldn't be until later in the game, because there's a scene later on, I think at the end of Disc 2, where they're below the High Wind. I think you gotta get some certain things and events to happen in the game where this happens. I don't think it's 100% confirmed that they hook up, but I think it's an implication there, or it can be interpreted that way. All I'm saying is my boy Cloud needs it. After everything he's been through, he's got to be stressed out of his mind. He should have hooked up with Jessie. It is what it is. That is actually pretty much the video. 2 potentially interesting pieces of information. At least one for sure. Maybe you don't care about Cloud wanting to smash Tifa, but that's what he was thinking in that scene. I actually love little like funny, weird facts like this, or whatever you want to call it, because we did a video a while back about like the official canonical breast size of Tifa. And now we know that Cloud, he has these thoughts, like we all do, like I've always had. And as it is, that's the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, wants to update more Final Fantasy VII Remake content. Turn on my notifications, follow me on Twitter, @DashingDavidYT. I'm on Discord. Links to my social networks are in the description. And in the outro. Later, guys.
So, after you left the village...
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like low gain or leave it like Cobain.